live. Fuck it. We're live streaming.
Is back.
Huh?
We are together.
The team is back. That's right. The team is back. Today, this is the BCM Podcast. Today, I'm your host because it's Brad's week. We're live streaming. Did we tweet about it? Anybody?
No, but we will.
I'll do that right now.
We need number one fan, Brian Searle.
Brian Searle's here? Fuck yeah, Brian. Hell yeah. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm your host. Next week, it'll be Charles, and it'll be Michael. But today, we're talking about quite a few topics. Please be sure to subscribe and share this with friends, especially since we're live streaming. We want that audience, people to come in the comments and tell Charles why he's wrong. We'll be talking about Graham Hancock versus Flint Dibble. Michael's so excited about that. He loves it. He was oh my God, he's into it. Speaker Johnson, he's got some controversies going on and some other stuff. I want to bring up this video of Elizabeth Warren as well about how she wants to end the Apple monopoly.
Oh, well, and I just want to throw out there, if you guys are watching and you like this platform and you want to use it for yourself, click the link. We will get $25 and we will share it with you.
What are you talking about? What platform?
It's StreamYard.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Now gives us the option to share a link during our videos, and if people use it, we get $25.
Okay, and who gets that $25? There's three of us here. That doesn't really divide evenly, so
5, 5, and 5.
That's $15. Thank you. Okay. Good thing we're live streaming, so you can't edit that out. All right, so where do we want to begin? Dealer's choice? Dealer's choice?
Dealer's choice.
All right, dealer's choice. Well, let's
retweet the tweet.
I'll go read. I'll do that right now in just a second. But I wanted to bring up this video of Elizabeth Warren talking about breaking up Apple's smartphone monopoly. She says, also, come on, let's stop leaving green text people out of the group chats. It's just not right. This is what our elected heroes are focused on. And Elizabeth Warren is absolutely everyone's favorite elected hero. So let's play this. 1 minute, 5 seconds.
Green text on iPhones, they're ruining relationships.
Yeah.
That's right. Non-iPhone users everywhere are being excluded from group texts, from sports teams chats to birthday chats to vacation plan chats. They're getting cut out, missing out on plans and conversations. And who's to blame here? Apple. That's just one of the dirty tactics that Apple uses to keep a stranglehold on the smartphone market. Apple has used its monopoly on smartphones to lock Americans into services and amass billions of dollars in profits. Apple even takes a cut every time you use Tap to Pay and has blocked a new app that would have let Android users finally use iMessage and get those blue texts. That's why last month, the Department of Justice sued Apple for its broad-based exclusionary conduct. And that's the right thing to do. It's time to break up Apple's monopoly now. Green text.
Okay, so first I want to say I'm absolutely guilty of this. I have an iPhone and I have a sports team that I'm a captain of, and I exclude one of my members because he has an Android, and I cannot stand that sewer green bullshit popping up on my screen. So I get it. It's gross. I don't know what to tell you. Stop being poor. Yes, Android phones. You don't have to be poor to have an Android phone. I'm just joking.
Okay. So this is funny that we're talking about this because I actually had this conversation like a couple days ago. One, these Google phones and stuff, some of them are way better than iPhones, but people want iPhones because it means you're part of a social club. Now, Apple does have the ability to allow people to use green texts, to get certain apps, all this other stuff, but they're keeping this monopoly. But do I want the Department of Justice to stay? Like, do I really think I've been aggrieved so bad? Well, I mean, I have an iPhone, but does someone who not have an iPhone think they've been aggrieved so bad that the DOJ needs to step in? Like that to me seems incredibly crazy. But I kind of would expect nothing less from Elizabeth Warren. And you know, she said, whose fault is it? it's Apple's. Like, no, it's the person who chooses to not get an iPhone. That's who's whose fault it is. I had an interesting fight one day about Elizabeth Warren versus Elon Musk. But yeah, she's something else.
Well, here's a chart that Zero Hedge threw up: iPhone versus Android market share worldwide. Now, I don't know if Elizabeth Warren, she's not focused on worldwide per se, but she is. I mean, Android certainly has a major share of the market, probably because I think Androids are just more available. I think they're probably cheaper in other markets. Old Androids, right? Probably. I don't know.
They're also good phones. Like they do have good quality. And
People are going to stop listening to us if you think that Androids are good phones.
Androids have some good quality phones with great cameras. iPhone's cameras, from my understanding, kind of pale in comparison to some Google phone cameras.
Oh, I can take a picture of the moon during a solar eclipse, like with more clarity. Oh, give me
you can.
It's not worth it for green text.
Liz Warren. Okay, I thought this was a joke at first. She's serious. Is she the dumbest person that we have in the U.S. Senate, or is that?
Probably not. I can't think of another one, but I'm sure there's someone else.
Oh my God. But I would say when she came up in the ranks after the financial collapse, I'm going to take us on a tangent as I do. When she came up during the financial collapse and was like taking on the big banks and all that stuff, I was like, okay, not my side of the aisle, but I'm game for this kind of talk. The woman has been completely, I don't know what happened. They like Jeffrey Epstein her or something, and she's just completely compromised, and it's just the things she does now. They don't even make sense.
Wait, do you think that this is out of line with who she originally was?
Not necessarily. I'm more making a broader point about Liz Warren's transformation from who she was when she ran to now who she is, and I don't understand some of the things she does. I don't know. Yeah, maybe busting up Apple's monopoly is kind of consistent with her brand, but like of the things you need to talk about and focus on, Liz Warren,
she transitions, Michael,
to something.
Well, to a white woman. Previously, she was an Indian woman.
Oh, that's true.
So it's just these are the priorities of a white woman. Before holding, big finance accountable or whatever the hell she was doing. Those were the priorities of a Native American woman.
Do you remember when Elizabeth Warren, it's like last year, got into a fight with Elon Musk and essentially said like he hasn't really contributed much to like the world, and they were like going back and forth, and she's like, he hasn't contributed much, and I think she went to like an investigation into him or something. She just some of the things that she does, I don't. But here's the thing: when the reason these people continue stuff like that is because they have supporters who will double down on it. I was doing a segment on that Elizabeth Warren thing, and there was a woman who was adamantly defending her, being like, Elizabeth Warren is better than Elon Musk. She's contributed far more on Elizabeth Warren versus Elon Musk.
But where were you doing a segment? Where were you doing a segment?
I think it was like CNN or something. Yeah, it was CNN.
You were on Joe Rogan's pod. You were on CNN?
I was on JRE.
When were you on CNN, Charles?
The day that I was arguing about Elizabeth Warren.
You do Candace Owens' podcast. You do the local Fox affiliate probably every Sunday or something like that. You're on TV in Houston, like broadcasting to millions of people in Houston. And you were on CNN in airports everywhere?
Yes, in airports everywhere. That is true. In airports everywhere.
Charles is a heavy hitter, Brad.
No,
I get it.
Can I ask a question though?
No.
What was the demographic of said woman who was arguing that Liz Warren has contributed more to society than Elon Musk?
She was 50 and white.
No surprise there. Jesse Kelly was on Tucker recently, and he goes off on what he calls the Democrats' voting base, which is pissed off, depressed, pill popping white women in their 40s and 50s.
They're called awfuls.
Liz Warren's demographic.
They're called AWFLs, AWFL, affluent, white, female, liberal.
Oh, that's a thing. Oh, really? I didn't know.
That is a thing. Absolutely. Charles, I have to ask you. And I guess that now is as good a time as any, right?
Yeah.
How do you get onto CNN? How do you get onto all of these major programs? How do you do it?
Who, me, or just like a general person?
I mean, I guess you can only speak from your own personal experience, but perhaps that also applies to other people's experiences as well. How did you do it?
At that time, I was working with an agent who would coordinate. Actually, the Candace Owens one was just someone saw me speaking at an event. It was actually TPPF policy orientation, and then they, I don't know, asked PragerU, and then PragerU emailed me. But the CNN, Fox News stuff, that's Fox National, not Fox Local, but CNN, Fox National stuff. That was just through the agent. My agent kind of coordinated it. You
currently have an agent?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I think that's cool. Good for you, man.
But it's
are they looking for a bald white man?
Who is it? Yes.
Very few people are not looking for that. So
you can be the next Joe Rogan / Dana White.
Oh my God. Why do you have to? I mean, we're not all the same. Okay. We don't all look the same. I know that's what you probably think. You know, all bald white men are the same. They look the same. Like who? Joe Rogan, Brad Swail, they look the same. Who the fuck knows? You know, you're a racist. Yeah, all right. Are we done with Elizabeth Warren? Michael, I feel like I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, yeah. I'm just pulling up a picture of Joe Rogan and looking at you and looking at the picture of Joe Rogan, and I could see how you might get confused.
Put Dana White next to them.
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. Either share your screen or stop. Okay.
Joe Rogan has. Well, you guys don't give me that capability, so Dana White. Yeah, you know.
Fuck you guys. Anyhow, I mean, there's probably worse people to look like, I think. All right. So speaking of Joe Rogan, we can talk about Graham Hancock versus Flint Dibble. I find Flint Dibble to be very difficult to listen to and quite the weasel. But Michael wants to talk about this. He wants to talk about a lost ancient white civilization that spread knowledge throughout the world after a cataclysmic event 10,000 plus years ago. Tell us about it, Michael.
Okay, so after the Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse came out, there was a big hullabaloo about, is this science fiction? Is it real science? And there was a group of archaeologists and other scientists who tried to get it classified as science fiction. As part of that group was this guy named Flint Dibble. His daddy was an archaeologist. He's now an archaeologist. And Graham Hancock reached out and asked to debate him on Joe Rogan. Yeah. This was originally scheduled for October of 2023. How do I know? Because I had it on my calendar to watch it.
Wow, you're a freak.
I know.
Of course.
Because no mainstream archaeologist has debated Graham Hancock on the issue. Now, what is the issue at hand? Graham Hancock claims, like Brad said, there's some lost ancient civilization who passed on knowledge and technology to hunter-gatherers after a cataclysm during the Younger Dryas period at the end of the Ice Age. Flint Dibble says, basically, there's no evidence of said lost civilization. So that was what the debate was about. I did listen to almost all of it, almost all 4.5 hours of it. I don't know that I came away with anything new. As for where I stand, I'm more interested in the cataclysm piece, because there's a lot of science and data at the end of the last ice age during the Younger Dryas, where there were temperature spikes and woolly mammoths went extinct, and we're finding iridium and nanodiamonds in the soil layers and things like that. So something happened then, and I'm interested in that, whether there was a lost civilization or whether there was a civilization that existed prior to that cataclysm and then passed on technology. I don't really know. But I
guess my thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I don't understand why there is such a reluctance from traditional, I don't know, historians, archaeologists, whatever, to even being open there's this reluctance to being open that there used to be people around. Like I don't understand that. I mean, given the fact that we've found massive dinosaurs and like things that we couldn't even imagine that would exist today, but we find fossil records of them, and we know that everything was wiped out for a period of, I don't know, however 100 millions of years. Why would we assume that people could not have been there too? I just, I understand not committing to that truth until you have the data to confirm, but some of them are just so reluctant to even engage in that school of thought because I guess it disrupts everything that they believe. But it's mind-blowing. I mean, to think that there could have been a T-Rex, there was a T-Rex that's probably like as high as my apartment building right now, could walk by and be at eye level, but yet we're not going to believe that there were some people walking around like making tools and stuff. It's strange to me.
Yeah, well, the
dinosaurs are fake, which I think is what Michael was about to say. I think that I don't know that Graham Hancock. I don't really know what was his argument. Like, look, you guys just haven't done enough to say for sure that there wasn't a lost civilization, right? And Dibble was saying, look, if there's evidence, we'll talk about it. We have nothing against the idea, but we just haven't found anything like that. Is that a good summation?
Yeah, Graham Hancock says they haven't, done enough investigation in the Amazon rainforest, or they haven't looked at the Sahara Desert, or they haven't looked at the continental shelves where they used to be above sea level during the Ice Age. And so archaeology doesn't focus on trying to find this. The thing that Graham Hancock gets wrong, and he did this in the documentary, and he did this in the debate, and he's done this in other podcasts, he starts to speculate too much. And he did this in his first book because he wrote Fingerprints of the Gods in 1994, and he ascribed the climate change that got rid of to continental drift. And now he's like, oh, whoops, that was wrong. Now I think it's this comet impact. So where Graham Hancock gets himself in trouble, and this is because he's a journalist and an author, not a scientist, is he starts to speculate about things he couldn't know, but that he believes and wants to be true. And he gets himself into a lot of trouble. If he stuck to the facts, for example, and they did a long thing on this, the water erosion around the enclosure of the Sphinx. There's hard science and scientists who are like, that erosion is water erosion as the result of thousands of years of rainfall. And we know that that area has been arid and not received that much rainfall for 9,000 years. So that means that the Sphinx, if that's true, is at least 9,000 years old, which pushes their whole timeline back. So if you just stuck on those arguments, I think you'd make a stronger case to people like Flint Dibble that you need to look at it. But when you start talking about transfers of technologies and sailing around the world and telling people how to build things and like things like that, then you're speculating and then you're kind of discrediting yourself.
Yeah.
So to be clear, Flint Dibble is not against the idea that humans could have existed. He's just saying he's not going to go down that path until he sees evidence.
He believes humans existed, but says the evidence suggests that they were just merely hunter-gatherers,
and they didn't build civilizations.
Correct.
Which, you look at the Amazon forest, and you look at the not LiDAR, LiDAR, and you see, the Nazca lines, you see these things that they were able to build big civilizations without technology. So it wouldn't be incredibly surprising that they did. And you would think as a people, they would try to do that. If they found a resource, they're going to say, hey, let's put a hut around this and stay. It's just kind of natural human instinct. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys had to go back, would you rather be a hunter-gatherer or would you rather be a civilizer?
A civilizer? Is that some sort of is there racial undertones to that?
That would be colonizer.
Sounds like it.
But what would you prefer, to build it, stay in one spot and build a civilization, or would you prefer to be on the hunter-gatherers?
As a product of the greatest civilization known to man ever, I think that I would rather be a hunter-gatherer.
What is the greatest civilization known to man?
Our current one?
Oh.
It depends on my status. If I was, depends on my status in the civilized portion.
Don't do that. Come on. Which is it?
If I'm having to drag 2,000 ton blocks and like drag them and place them and build a pyramid. I don't want to be that guy. But if I'm the guy that's watching it,
so you're the slave master, but not the
Oh
slave.
my God, Michael. Whoa.
No.
I don't think you just be watching it. You be cracking the whip.
Yeah.
I
was thinking about this. I was thinking about this the other day, and it was I was contemplating if I could go back in time to only one moment in time, would I go back to ancient Egypt and see how they actually built the pyramids, or would I go back to November 22nd, 1963 and see how Kennedy was actually killed? And I only got one. Which one would I choose?
What is it? Pick one. Everybody pick one right now.
There's only one answer.
Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not of those two. No, not of those two, of any historical period or time. Like, what would you pick?
Oh, I mean, you want me to do this live on the air? Like, which one would I pick? I mean, any time period, not just those two, any time period.
Any big moment in history, time period, whatever. Yeah.
Fuck, man. I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, ancient Egypt would be cool, I guess, right? That seems like an easy pick. Maybe like ancient Japan at some point, maybe would be kind of cool. Like, you know, train to be a samurai like Tom Cruise.
Great.
Yeah? No? Yeah. I kind of would want to go to the future and see like I don't know if you guys have been watching the what?
It's not an option.
Oh, well, fuck you then.
The time travel machine only goes back.
Well, that makes sense.
So you pick ancient Japan.
Japan. Yep. Ancient Japan. Yeah, I don't know that the time machine is going to be able to find Japan, but maybe they have an autocorrect.
Maybe.
I don't know how you guys are taking this so lightly. Like, if I was presented with the choice and I get to choose like one thing to know for sure, I'm going back. They're going to show me what actually happened. That would be a hard choice. It wouldn't be so easy.
Michael would spend so much time choosing, they would take the option away from him. Like, listen, we're going to pick somebody else.
Okay, well, Charles, where would you pick? You have to answer your own freaking question.
Oh, I mean, of course, it's so easy. I'd pick the second that the Titanic hit the iceberg. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would pick like the 5 minutes before, during, and 5 minutes after when the comet hit and took out the dinosaurs. I would like to see like
You're not coming back from that, by the way. You're dead.
Well, I'm visiting, so I can't be harmed, and so I could just watch.
Why is a visitor not harmed in a massive cataclysmic event that wiped out, I mean, tons of species, especially dinosaurs? Are you better than a dinosaur?
This is my scenario. This is my exercise. And so I would see the dinosaurs, how they're living, see the comet hit, experience all of that, and then see what happens kind of immediately after.
So you think you can do all of that in 15 minutes? That's what you said. It seems unlikely, but okay. You think it maybe like an hour before?
Okay. And I would just go back to right when the dinosaurs got hit by the comet, like when the comet came down.
Good luck to you, buddy. I hope that you don't die, but I'm not hopeful, to be honest. I think that you probably would die. But Michael, is there anything else about the debate? I think it's definitely worth watching. I think it's interesting. I don't know why Flint Dibble cannot wear a suit that fits him. It's insane. The cuffs of his white shirt like cover his, like they go out like this far, like almost covering his fingers.
Because it's his dad. He mentioned his dad a lot. It's his dad's suit, and he's an archaeologist.
But it's is it his dad's shirt too? It's the suit seemed like it fit okay, like the jacket, the sport coat, whatever you want to call it. There's a difference, right? But the shirt was insane. I mean, do you have to fit Indiana Jones, he dressed cool and he was an archaeologist.
It's a movie.
And
no, I don't think there's anything on the Flint Dibble. I would like to have somebody on, like a Randall Carlson, who I've reached out to 3 times, on the show to just kind of go through the known science from the time. And then you can speculate from there. Okay, if we know that there was this big cataclysm at the end of the Ice Age, is it possible that there were more modern civilizations that existed before whatever happened?
Yeah,
but I think it would be cool to go through the science with somebody like a Randall Carlson or a Luke Caverns or somebody like that on the show in detail.
What is it? Ohio, where that serpent mound is that right? That'd be a cool place to go. Right before, like at the very tail end of the Ice Age. Check out that serpent mound. Who built it? Why? That kind of thing. The other problem is that you can't talk to them. Can't talk to these people.
They don't speak English.
Yeah, I mean they should, but they don't. Just like the French.
In this scenario, you can talk to them.
So I have a universal translator as well, like a C-3PO. Oh my God, we are getting so nerdy right now. Yeah, we're talking about time travel. Charles is universal translators. I don't know who brought up C-3PO in Star Wars, Star Trek, one of the two.
You did.
Can't imagine.
Nope. All right. Is that horse beaten?
Yeah.
All right. Speaker Johnson. Speaker Johnson. What happened with Speaker Johnson? Is he sending a bunch of money to Ukraine? Our most valuable ally? Our most important ally in the region? Ukraine?
Yeah, Mike.
Well, you want me to go? Okay, well.
I want you to I think that you might have more background than us two goons.
We're gonna time travel right now.
Oh, okay. To the future.
We're gonna go back a couple months, maybe 2 months ago, when Biden was pushing through Ukraine aid. Remember the whole package, and they tried to tie it to border security. And what did Speaker Johnson say? Over and over again, no Ukraine aid without doing the border first. Correct?
Yes.
He also said he's not going to reauthorize FISA and a number of other things. Well, the guy is completely flip-flopped. And there's a lot of speculation about why he has, what he's doing right now. And we don't need to get way in the weeds on what he's doing, but he's pretty much made a deal with the Democrats that says we're going to push through Ukraine aid, $61 billion. We're going to push through $28 billion of aid, military aid to Israel, $8 billion to Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific, and then $300 million for the border for something. And they're going to push it all through. What he's trying to negotiate, I think, in the background is there's a threat of a motion to vacate. What happened to Kevin McCarthy? MTG's fired up, Matt Gaetz is fired up, Chip Roy's fired up, Thomas Massey's fired up because he's going back on all the things that he said he would do. So he has the threat of a motion to vacate. Well, he can change the rules and say that you need more than one person to vacate the speaker, or he can team up with Democrats and say, hey, I'm pushing through Ukraine aid. You can't vote to vacate me. And they might agree. So he might keep his speakership, although he's betrayed all the people who put him into the speaker's office and, the GOP primary voters who don't want to send a single dollar to Ukraine to kill more Ukrainian 50-year-olds.
So now Michael and I talked about this last week. Charles, you were being arrested for squatting in Houston. Mike Johnson flip-flopped on the FISA bill, right? Yes. And we played a video. Yes. Charles, a lot's happened since you got out of jail. He flip-flopped on it, and he said in an interview or whatever, that despite the hundreds of thousands, was that right? Yeah, hundreds of thousands of instances where they abused it, of all this abuse, hundreds of thousands of times they've abused it. He said that. Mm-hmm. And then he got, privy to other information and said, well, those hundreds of thousands of abuses, they don't really matter. What matters is that we continue FISA.
Yes.
Right? So what the fuck's happening with Ukraine here?
Wait, what does that have to do with it?
It has to do with him flip-flopping. He's flip-flopping.
So last I watched, and I was going to make that comment, you guys, he didn't flip-flop because he's compromised and they have something on him. He flip-flop because they all flip-flop when they get there. That is exactly what happened. You guys were
Why?
Because they are weak. And they get up there and they get told things and they're like, I got to do this for the greatness of the country. It's not, I don't think they have anything on him in the sense that because when I watched it, I think you guys were saying that they might have something on him that makes him compromise. I don't think it's all that. I think he just got up there like they all do. and they get caught up in this, and you have all these folks in defense telling you that you absolutely must do this because this is going to protect us from, foreign interference. You also had, I think it's Christopher Wray, if I'm not mistaken, who was testifying yesterday or the day before, sometime this week, that, we're afraid of China getting ready to do an attack. So when you hear all these things, they flip-flop. And if you don't have a solid principle, I don't say he's unprincipled, but if you don't have a solid kind of constitution of what you live by, then you're going to flip-flop. And when you make a deal with the devil to get the leadership position, you're going to make a deal with the devil to keep it. And I think right now he's thinking about, should I make a deal with the devil that I know, or should I make a deal with the devil that I don't know?
I think, you said that he's not principled. If he was principled, then he wouldn't flip-flop. I think that's what principles stop you from doing, right?
On this issue, I don't know him well enough to say he's not principled on every issue, but on this issue, it doesn't seem to be. But the reason I say that I don't want to call him unprincipled is because it is hard. Remember, this guy came from being, I don't know, somewhat of a backbencher in Congress, wasn't really in leadership, or he was, but wasn't on the news, wasn't kind of like front and center, to now being in these private briefings being told that if you don't do this, the country is at risk. We're going to be opening ourselves up to attack. People are going to die. And so when you hear those things, it's not surprising to me that he might change his position. Now, that's because he's forgetting all of the whole other side of that, and he's listening to one side of the argument. But getting caught up in that, I don't want to say is unprincipled. I think it might be a little bit gullible. And I don't know what they told him, right? I have no idea what they told him. Maybe what they told him is so damn scary that he's like, yeah, we got to keep this. But I kind of...
What they told him is, we're going to release your internet browsing history.
Wait a second. Okay, wait a second. I hear what you're saying. What could they have possibly told him that if we don't send $61 billion to Ukraine, what's going to happen to America? What could possibly be the explanation for that? I think, that's more rhetorical, but you can answer it if you want. I more think the most charitable interpretation of what is happening, which is I might believe, but it's cowardly even still, is that he wants Israel aid so much that he's willing to just forgo the border security and forgo no more money to Ukraine because he's so motivated to get money to Israel. That's the most charitable thing that I can come up with. I can't imagine in any world they took him into a skiff and was like, we have this intelligence that if we don't give $61 billion to Ukraine, they're going to lose. With the aid, they'll win, and Russia's going to take over Europe. And he actually believed that. I can't imagine that's possible.
Here's the thing, and I'm trying to find this tweet our friend Adam Lowy shared. So the thing is, this world is so crazy, they could have told him anything. Like, it could have been anything. And the reason I say that is because Adam Lowy shared a tweet from another person yesterday or the day before about the Israel attack. I'm sorry, not the Israel attack, but the attack on Iran from Israel. And this guy said what happened is they sent these. Okay, here it is. He goes, it appears that the attack in Iran was executed through glide bombs. That's important because those were likely launched not from Israel, but elsewhere. In addition, they can't be traced through radar. This goes with the radio silence from Israel. Meanwhile, IDF source told Operation was limited. What the attack was going for is plausible deniability. That will allow Iran to pretend this isn't a big deal and react without a major escalation. Iran seems to be playing along so far. That level of foreign chess playing is to me I get it. I get what he's saying, and it allows kind of Iran out. It allows Israel out. That kind of foreign chess playing is not something I would have just come up with. And so what I'm saying is that in terms of things that could be considered, things that could be happening out there, it could have been anything under the sun, something that I can't even conceive of. And so that's why I'm saying I don't know what they told him. Maybe he did just flip-flop because he's not principled. That is very much a possibility. But at the same time, I don't. We talked about JFK. We talked about what happens with MLK. We talk about all the crazy things that happen in government. It would not be mind-blowing to me if they brought him in there and told him something just completely mind-blowing that I can't conceive of.
You mean lied to him?
Or it could be true. Either way, I don't know. My point is, I don't agree with him, but I'm just saying I don't know that I want to necessarily call him unprincipled. That was my one point. I don't know one way or the other if he is unprincipled, but I do know that he made a deal with the devil to get this speakership, and he wants to hold on to it, and he's about to make a deal with the devil one way or the other to keep it.
Usually making a deal with the devil implies that the devil has some dirt on you, right? I think. And he is absolutely, I don't know how one can be, you don't have, look, if an extreme case comes up and you change your principles because an extreme case comes up, then you don't have principles. It's not a principle. Like a principle means that you stand on a position, there's a boundary, you have boundaries, and you're not going to cross that no matter what. And that's what a principle is, right? So if you say, hey, I'm principled, I'm never, without significant funding for the border solving that problem, my principle is I'm not going to send any money to Ukraine or wherever, right? And then things change, well, then you weren't principled to begin with. Right? That's the purpose of principles.
Do you not give in to extenuating circumstances? Like if you are I don't want to really use a heinous example, but if you're against the death penalty, but something happens so just horrific to someone that and it is confirmed, proven, there's no doubt about it, and you would support the death penalty in that instance, are you unprincipled?
Yes.
Okay. Fair.
Well, on that specific issue, it's not a principle. It's, if you're willing to make exceptions, then it's not a principle.
Here's a perspective I would like you, Charles, Brad's already here, and some of the listeners to consider. The uniparty, the military-industrial complex, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they bat 1,000. You don't bat 1,000 with just persuasion. Sorry. The Boeing whistleblower was just killed. Whether or not he was murdered by Boeing, I don't know. Jeffrey Epstein has a list. There is evidence of blackmail operations. What was that guy's name? Mark Middleton, who brought Epstein to the White House 9 times during the Clinton administration. He was found hanging from a tree by an electrical cord with a shotgun wound to his chest, and the shotgun was 30 feet away, and they ruled it a suicide. All I'm saying is they bat 1,000 for a reason, and they don't just use persuasion always. Sometimes, not always. So if I'm the deep state machinery and I'm like, okay, Mike Johnson's going to be speaker, one of the things that I'm going to put in my quiver is blackmail or fear or threats to use if necessary to bat 1,000. Did that happen in this case? I have no idea. But to speculate that they don't have something on him that's personal or scary to him, I think defies all evidence that we've seen for the last 20 years of how they operate in DC.
So I get my point in saying that was, I don't think that in this instance, he changed his position because they have something on him. That was my point. Do I agree with everything you just said? Yes. But I also agree that sometimes people just do things. Like sometimes things are convincing. Sometimes people just do things. And I'm not writing off that could have happened in this situation. I don't disagree. I don't disagree that all of those other things could be true too. But I also feel that when it comes to those other things, that's level 3, 4, and 5. Like they've got level 1 and 2 that they use first. One of them is probably just simply convincing you. And if you're weak-willed, they might easily convince you before they get to that. So I don't disagree with any of that. But I'm also saying let's just not write off that some of these people just go there and they're happy to be there and they're going to change their vote because they want to stay there.
That's what Charlie Kirk is speculating right now. He said that your favorite, Charlie Kirk, he said he's just like the nerdy kid who got invited into the cool kids club, and he's just so excited to be there, and he wants to stay there that he's just. And I get that. I'm not saying I know why he flip-flopped. I think the flip-flop is so extreme that it's pretty extreme. And as far as flip-flopping goes, it was in such a short time period, and it's the complete opposite, and it's on something as big as $100 billion for other countries the day after tax day. So I don't want to take any reason off the table. I'm not speculating as to what happened because I don't know. But what I see is a guy said one thing 2 months later, after a bunch of pressure was applied to him, he changed his mind.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm just confused. So we're talking about two issues. One being the foreign funding, foreign aid, and the other being the flip on FISA. I was talking about the flip on FISA.
Oh,
Because I was responding to what you guys said last week. The flip on foreign aid, I don't know what the reason is. Maybe they do have to. I have no idea. I would lean towards being more true that they found some way to cajole him into doing that because there's more money at stake. FISA, I mean, obviously it's a huge thing for the intelligence industry, but there's a lot more defense contractors who are like foaming at the mouth to get this foreign aid money. So I would think it would be more plausible in that instance. But just to be clear, my specific comment was in regards to the FISA issue because you guys were talking about that last week.
You said that there's like levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And like maybe level 5 is, they threaten to kill your child or something. I don't know, whatever they do, whatever those crazy people do. And step 1 is just, maybe here's what we want to tell you, real nice. What do you think about it? Right? If that's it, and that's all it took, he is not principled.
I agree. If that's all it took, yeah, I agree. He's not at all principled. But there was a book, and I don't know which senator it was. He came out with this book maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think he's still actually in Congress, where he said that they were about to take a significant vote, and he was walking on the National Mall or walking near one of the monuments, and like 2 people came up to him and gave him like a folder the day before the vote. Do you guys remember hearing about this?
No.
Oh man, I gotta find this. Keep talking.
Keep talking. Oh, got to fill dead air. I don't know if I'm ready for the big time. Sorry, don't give me that. I can't do CNN.
I mean, what are Gates and MTG and Thomas Massey and Chip Roy going to do? Like, are they really going to allow this?
If they're principled, then no. Right? They've been very clear that stuff like this is not allowed, and there will be consequences if something like this does happen. Right? If they have principles, then they will actually take action rather than tweeting about it.
Yeah, but they're thinking we're going into the general election. We have the House now by 1 vote. We need to gain votes in the House. We need to take the Senate, and we need to get the presidency. This will create another atomic bomb in the Republican Party, because what will happen is if they move to vacate, Speaker Johnson's going to have to get some amount of Democrats to support him, and it's just going to be what we just saw in Texas at a national level in terms of the feud within the party. So it's not united for November.
Yeah.
I think they might back down.
You think that? Well, then they're not principled. Unless they're lying about their principles, right? If
Thomas Massey is principled.
let me finish. If they say that we are principled on this position, right, then they have competing principles. Their principle is maybe to win and gain power at, almost any cost. Maybe that's their principle, in which case that makes sense. Then they're still principled. But if their principle is holding government accountable, not wasting taxpayer money on all these, crazy things like war in Ukraine, all that stuff, if that's their principle, then they need to do something about it. Right? So make up their minds is what I'm saying.
They can vote no on the aid. Why do they have to vacate the speaker? But
because
long story short,
said they would.
Some of them said they would. Long story short, this is why people hate the Republican. This is why some people that vote Republican hate the Republican Party. Yours truly included.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, sorry. Go ahead. I'll bring it up in a second. Go ahead.
Did you find it, Charles?
This is why people hate the Republican Party.
Yeah, because we're going to send $61 billion to a war that's been lost for over a year now, that they're never going to win, and we're just killing more people. And then we're going to send $28 billion to Israel, which we haven't got into on this podcast, but Israel's fine. They're fine on their own. They don't need $28 billion of our taxpayer money.
Charles, did you find your video or your quote?
No, it wasn't a video. I can't find it. I'm trying to find what I need to type in, and I'm not finding it, unfortunately. unfortunately.
Yeah, it's probably not true.
Google disappeared that stuff.
It was a couple months ago. Man, this sucks. I really wanted to find it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, tell us more about your dreams. I believe you. I'm sure that happened, Charles. I if you find the quote, fine. But we do have a live show that we're doing right now. So
I
know. Taylor Swift's new album dropped today. Oh, do we want to talk about that more, please?
No, I'm fired up about it. But what would you want? What do you want, Thomas Matt? Do you want them to vacate the speaker over this? Either of you, both of you.
I mean, over this, no, because I don't know who is next. I mean, I feel like we keep doing this. I don't know who's next. If it's Chip Roy next, sure, go right ahead. But if it's
what if it's Lauren Boebert?
Exactly. What if it's Marjorie Taylor Greene? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know who's next. Do I think that they should give him a hard time after this if this is what he forces through? Yeah, they should, and they should not kind of advance his priorities, and they should do whatever it takes to make sure the will of the body is heard. But vacating it,
Lauren Boebert. Woo.
What?
The will of the body. Speaking of Lauren Boebert. Keep going.
Do you want them to vacate?
That was the end of what I had to say.
Do I want them to vacate it? Well, Michael, you're much more.
No, don't dodge.
I'm not dodging. Calm down. Ugh. Tell me the consequences. The worst case scenario of vacating a speaker.
We get a worse speaker.
Okay. It's someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, she would be better. Somebody much worse.
Okay, like
Mike Turner.
Okay, so Mike Turner becomes speaker, and then what happens?
Then he joins with the Democrats on lots of things to help push Biden's agenda, especially on foreign policy and the border.
Isn't that what we just saw with Speaker Johnson?
Yep.
Okay. How is it worse?
It would be worse. It would be more things. Maybe it's at the margins, but it would be worse.
And would that would that help or not help Republicans? Not that I'm a Republican and rah go Republicans, but would that help them in the upcoming election?
Working with Democrats?
If they got a worse speaker like Mike Turner, who crosses the aisle and helps Democrats left, right, and center, does that help the other Republicans gain seats? Does it help Donald Trump win the presidency?
No.
It hurts?
I mean, I think part of the what you need to do is continue to have the base motivated, and is the base going to be motivated by people who don't fight for them? No.
It will be motivated against the establishment Republicans for sure.
So does it help or does it hurt? Or, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So I think
on a whole it probably hurts. Because I think you want your people coming out, because we're talking about in November. So you want your people coming out to vote, and if they have a party that's not fighting for them, they're not motivated to come out and vote. So I would say on the whole it hurts. In a primary, it would probably help the people who are in establishment.
Michael, help or hurt?
I think it's marginal, but it would hurt.
Okay. Yeah. Then, so do I want it to be vacated? I think I might be okay with taking the risk of, I don't think it's going to be Mike Turner. I think it'd probably be someone else. Maybe Jim Jordan would get in there. I don't know. He was, a contender. Oh my God.
I would love that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm just trying to answer your question here. I don't know who it would be, but if it's Mike Turner, that sounds bad. But if it's someone the same, maybe they would see like, all right, maybe I should stand on my principles and not be blackmailed, as Charles says happened to Mike Johnson.
No, but that's what you said.
Okay, well, that's my answer. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second in the middle of that. Taylor Swift's new album just dropped, and it has 31 songs, 2 hours and 2 minutes worth of music. I kind of feel like that's a lot. Does Beyonce do that much?
Yes. Here's the thing. I have strong opinions about this, not specifically Taylor Swift, but about kind of the length of albums. We have shifted from a music culture that used to actually enjoy long bodies of work, and we would listen for it from start to finish because that's how albums are meant to be listened, at least on their first listen. And we've shifted into this kind of TikTok generation where we want single after single after single. We don't want a whole album that paints a broader picture. We don't want 6, 7, 8-minute songs. We don't want albums with 25, 30 songs. We want everything to be short and quick. And I think some of the bigger artists are trying to push us back in that direction of giving us pure, thoughtful, well-reasoned bodies of work. Now, I don't know about her album. I didn't listen to it, but I assume that that's what's happening here.
31 songs sounds like a shitload, but okay.
Think about it. We used to Deadmau5. In the early 2000s, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-minute songs. Tiesto, like 11-minute songs. We have even Bohemian Rhapsody. How long is that? 8, 9 minutes? So, we used to have these kind of like experiences with music that the artist would take us through these highs, these lows, these ups, these downs in a matter of minutes. And now we get songs that are 1:40, 2 minutes 20.
Bohemian Rhapsody was unique even in its time.
Sure. But not because of the length, because of the song in and of itself.
But I think the length and the song in and of itself, on the journey that it takes you through, the meanings behind the lyrics, all of that stuff, I think that it was unique in its time. And that's why it was.
I don't disagree that it was unique in its time. I'm just saying that artists used to do that more frequently. We would have longer bodies of work that they could really stretch their legs in, and we would get to see and hear these journeys, and we don't get that anymore with music.
The greats, Freddie Mercury, Deadmau5, and Tiesto.
Charles has obviously given this quite a bit of thought. So I like what he had to say. I won't listen to 5 seconds of Taylor Swift's new album. So is she trying to do that? Maybe.
Will we get dinged if I play it? I don't know. Charles, you going to go carnivore?
Thinking about it.
Last night you were so excited about doing it, thinking about it.
Well, I haven't eaten yet today, so I guess there's still a chance. No, I do want to go carnivore. You have said so many good things about it. The bit of research I've done sounds good. Probably won't do it permanently because I saw some people being a little critical of long-term effects, but I definitely want to try it. The difficulty I have with it, though, as I mentioned yesterday, is that a beef Wellington, it does not have very much other than meat. Like it's a very thin crust, but yet you can't even have that. And so that's where I'm like,
let me help you. I'm in my 6th year. I'll be 7 years in January.
You've not eaten anything but meat in 6 years.
No, I've never claimed to only eat meat.
I was just asking for clarification.
No, that's okay. That's fine. And I'll tell you, and I think this applies to your beef Wellington example, as fucking random as that is. You can eat whatever you want, right? And you can call yourself. There are people that will argue that a glass of milk is not carnivore. All right, fine, argue that. I don't care. That's not that. I'll drink a glass of milk and I'll still call myself carnivore. People are going to freak out about definitions and is this or that. Are you really? Are you not? Who cares, right? If you want to try carnivore, I think that you should. And I think that you should be super strict about it, at least for like the first month to see how you feel. Mm. And then if you want to introduce a beef Wellington every once in a while, like an absolute crazy person, then you can do that and see how you feel. And maybe the effect is so marginal, you don't notice it, right? And so, yeah, you have beef Wellington once a week or twice a week or every day or whatever the hell it is, right? Now, there's people like the Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson, that father-daughter couple that love each other so much and are really kind of creepy sometimes. They do this because of autoimmune disorders. And so they actually have some real health issues. So they say, I'm going to believe them. I have no reason to believe that they're lying because a lot of people do this. They say they do it because of autoimmune disorders. And if they eat something else, it really severely affects their health. And I know that that's true for a lot of people. And so they can't have a beef Wellington. I don't even think that they use salt, which is weird. So, just do figure it out, try it for a month, see, and then introduce stuff slowly and just see how you feel.
Wait, so I have a question. Two questions. What are the positive effects that if you even remember, because it's been so long since you've not been on it, what are the positive effects that you notice after switching? And two, do you what do you just take you make a chicken and you just eat like a chunk of chicken? Nothing with it. You're straight up eating the meat and that's.
So some people will go so far as to say that you can't use herbs and spices. And if you do, you're not a carnivore. And to them, I say, go fuck yourself. You're acting like a vegan, right? Calm down. I'm going to use something to make it taste good. 99.999% of this meal that I'm eating is carnivore. Yeah, I sprinkled some garlic on it. Who cares, right?
Sure.
The effects that I feel or felt and still do, it is so fucking easy to gain muscle and lose fat. So easy. It's insane how easy it is. You just, if I want to lose, if I feel like I'm getting a little bit too big, I just eat a little bit less food and it's not hard. I feel full. I feel satiated. And that's kind of the goal. And that should be the goal with anybody that's dieting is satiety, feeling full, finding out what foods make you feel full, not make you feel more hungry. Right. And meat has a very unique ability to do that. I think the famous example is, getting a plate of pork chops and just eating as much as you can. Put 5 pounds of pork chops on a plate and see if you can finish it. I guarantee you cannot. Your body will start to reject the act of eating. That happened to me many times when I first started. I didn't know sort of how to balance the meals, how much I could eat, could not eat. And I would feel sick if I tried to eat more. And then I would be full for a long time. And I wouldn't feel like I need to eat more food. Right? It makes you feel satiated. I forget what else I was going to say, but do it.
Michael, you dabbled with carnivore, right?
I've dabbled with everything, but no, I don't. I've never gone carnivore. I've gone protein focused, which means I upped my animal meat intake, but I've been vegan too. So I've tried everything. I'm a big fan of trying and seeing how you feel. Right now I'm pretty heavy on protein, so I don't eat a lot of vegetables. And I'm a big fan so far. I noticed differences in my fitness pretty quickly. And then I also noticed differences, whether that's part of the cold plunge or the diet or a combination of the two. I feel way more energetic come to the end of the day than I did previously. So I'm still on that, but I mix in avocados. I even mix in sourdough. My wife's on this big sourdough baking kick. So I'm not.
What is this, the pandemic?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Apparently, but I'm a big fan. So I'm not really strict about it, but I've tried everything: keto, vegan, pescatarian. I've tried them all. So I'm a big fan of trying new stuff.
I have, a couple of things. I've switched to grass-fed beef because I was reading and it says, if you're going to eat more, well, not just grass-fed beef, grass-fed meats, but if you're eating more meat, it is better to at least, if that's going to be your primary focus, then you should probably get kind of the best meat that you can, is what I read. And so do you guys notice the difference between grass-fed?
I notice a difference. Grass-fed tastes like shit.
Really?
Yes.
What do you like?
Huh?
What do you like?
I'll eat grass-fed. It's not that I can't eat it. It just doesn't taste good. I try to get high quality Angus beef.
I've never had grass-fed that tastes like shit.
Oh my God. It tastes so bad. Comparatively, I know Michael's about to scream into the microphone. Obviously. He's angry. He's angry with me.
He shook his head when you said that. I think he agrees. You agree with him that grass-fed tastes like shit?
No, it tastes different because they're eating a different diet, what they should be eating.
I agree that they should be eating it. And if I had to choose between a grass-fed steak and I don't know, a chicken, I'd probably choose grass-fed steak. Not because chicken tastes bad, but because grass-fed steak is better for you.
What about between grass-fed steak and corn soy-fed steak or fed steak?
If it's extra soy and they put soy on top of it, I'll eat that. I mean, it tastes better. I mean, and that's, I think the biggest carnivores out there, the ones that try to like spread the message, just get people to get healthier through carnivore. And we're not offering medical advice or dietary advice. Do whatever the hell, you know, this is just what we do. All right. We're just talking about what we do, not making advice. They say, just get the highest quality that you can or want to afford. And you're making a tremendously good step in the right direction, right? If grass-fed tastes great to you and you can afford it, do that.
And get good marbling.
Yeah. And you said that you bought a chuck steak.
Chuck roast.
No, I'd say chuck steak, chuck roast.
Gross. Chuck is
I'm a big fan of
cut.
Well, he's slow cooking it.
pot roast. I love pot roast, and I love chuck for pot roast. It's just, you know, pop it in the oven for 6 hours. But the one I was getting from HEB, it would just always be so fatty. And when I got it from, and then I found some better ones from a butcher, and it's really nice marbling, some fat, so you still get that flavor, but just not as like fatty as what I was getting previously.
Grass-fed's always going to be more lean than the non-grass-fed.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I think you should do it.
All right, I'll start today.
Do you need an accountability partner?
Yeah.
You can text me or call me anytime.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Like when he's about to eat a vegetable or something. I really want this kale.
Holding a sweet potato. Should I do it?
Yeah. Call me. Can I do this, Brad? Can I eat this sweet potato? Fuck you, Charles. No. Don't be a pussy. You can eat that though. So, what?
We have 4 viewers.
Good. Maybe we'll get 5. All right. I think that's it. I didn't get to ask you my question, Charles. I need to throw that curveball at you.
Well, we're running on time anyway. Commercial break is coming up.
Philip Roach. Ha 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 ha.
I'm glad that okay, good. I'm glad Philip found that funny.
Tune in,
Philip, because Brad's got more where that came from. I'll tell you.
Hell yeah, I do. All right. So this has been the BCM podcast. Tune in next week. Same time. Well, no, different time next week. But that's okay. Can we announce the guest?
Sure.
Who is it?
Wait.
Next week, we're going to be interviewing Nick Bryant. He's the author of the Franklin Scandal and the man who released Jeffrey Epstein's client list for the first time.
Yeah.
Maybe he has some thoughts on principles. Who knows? So we'll do that next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. But typically we record on Fridays at 10 a.m. I am Brad Swail. To my top left is Charles Blain. Top right, Michael Searle. We have all of our Twitter handles there, and I don't know why Charles is so small. He tried to change it up. I don't know why, but it's there. And subscribe, share with friends. Miss Blain, you're a favorite fan still. Thank you so much for tuning in. And did I miss anything?
Nope. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch us next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.